Okay, we are live streaming and back on the record. I had the opportunity to review the LGAL report and recommendations. So uh, it's troubling that mom isn't here today. I'm hearing or reading in the report that she hasn't even had any parenting time in several months. When's the last time any of these three girls actually spent some time with their mother?
That's me, Judge.
Whoever has the answer. I'm just
So yeah, so the last time she had saw Sarah, the 13-year-old, was September 10th, and she picked up Alicia and Tori. Their birthdays were October 12th and October 27th. So she came over, picked them up, took them to the store, and brought them right back. So that's the last time she's really, and then she's made a couple of visits in the last few months, and that's it. But the last since September, she hasn't even seen or talked to Sarah, and Alicia and Tori, she only contacted them because it was their birthday.
all right. Thank you. So the fact that the mother's not here today, the fact that, and I realize Mr. Marsh wasn't under oath, but that was kind of the sense I had from reviewing the report, that she's made very little attempt to interact with her daughters is troubling to the court. I realize the LGAL recommendation is that we not change anything, but that is, for me, very problematic, that we've got a mom that's not making an effort. The other thing that I found very problematic is the level of, I guess, defiance that apparently gets demonstrated by the girls towards their mother. That only happens if you let it happen. Obviously, that is not healthy for a child to be speaking that disrespectfully to a parent. It is just not healthy. And even it appears that that same level of hostility is demonstrated to mom's significant other. And again, I get he's not their father, but he is an adult in the home, and children need to be taught to respect adults, no matter who they are. And anyway, I am very understanding of the desire that there be some kind of counseling to try to fix this, but I think it's going to take a whole lot more than counseling to fix this. I'm not sure if there is a fix, but what appears to exist from this report is an extremely unhealthy relationship that the children have with their mother. And whether or not Mr. Marsh has contributed to that, certainly I realize is an open question. However, it just is very troublesome to me that the mother essentially tolerates that kind of behavior. It's enabling behavior. I mean, assuming I've got an accurate picture, and I'm assuming I do, of what's been described, we're not, I don't see anything described in the mother's home that in and of itself would pose a problem to parenting time other than the lack of a healthy relationship with her daughters. But that's a very significant other than. So I am certainly willing to entertain some testimony today and consider the request to modify the custody order in some manner, but I, at the same time, don't want to relegate these children to having no relationship with their mother. I don't think that's a good thing either. But it definitely um, uh, is a relationship that needs some significant work, and that means work by mom, and that means work by the girls, um, and the significant help of a therapist. So. I mean, the possibilities open to the court today would be to proceed with an evidentiary hearing and just make rulings based upon the testimony, or put a place mark in this and order that some kind of counseling take place. Well, let me ask, has any counseling ever been tried between mom and her daughter?
Yes, sir. So we have gone a couple different times, a couple of people in the past. Started with the older two, her relationship with them, and so we had gone to the priest, talked to the priest, and then we'd also went to another psychologist, Diane Benning, through Dove Counseling. Talked to her for a bit. Each and every time we start to go, we go for maybe a visit or two. And we would leave. Charmaine wouldn't want, she just didn't do any more after that, participated. Diane had mentioned to her that part of the reason for the disrespect is because of the way she's talking to them. She said, to get respect, you need to give respect. She fails to do that.
All right, let me stop you. I think I want to proceed with testimony here today, Mr. Hotchkiss.
Okay, Your Honor.
I'm assuming you want to call Mr. Marsh?
I do, Your Honor, please.
Mr. Marsh, would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir. I do.
You can put your hand down now. State your full name for the record.
Jason Francis Marsh.
Go ahead, Mr. Hotchkiss.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Marsh, you were at one time married to Charmaine Marsh, is that correct?
Correct.
And with Charmaine, did the two of you have 5 children?
Yes, we did.
And how old are those children today?
23, 21, 15, 13, and 12.
Okay, so 2 of the children are no longer young enough, they're not minors or under the jurisdiction of the court, is that correct?
Correct.
And can you tell us what are the 2 oldest first names?
Joshua and Nicole.
Is Joshua
Which
23?
Oh, Joshua is 23. Nicole is 21.
Okay. And do you know what kind of relationship Joshua has with his mother?
There is no relationship at all. That's been going on for close to 5 years, pretty much his senior year in high school. She just got mad, stopped talking to him. Nicole, about the same time, she was arguing a lot back and forth. It got a little more physical with Nicole. She didn't get as physical with Josh because she's afraid, he was a little bigger or stronger or whatever, for whatever reason. And neither one of the kids would have done anything, but basically she ended that relationship 4 or 5 years ago.
Where do Joshua and Nicole live now?
They currently live with me.
How long have they lived with you? They lived with you right on through, or did they move out?
Yes, right on through.
Okay, thank you. So the 3 youngest are 3 girls, correct?
Correct.
Is that Alicia, Sarah, and Tori?
Correct.
And at the time the judgment of divorce entered, did you and Ms. Marsh have joint legal, joint physical custody?
Yes, we did.
And what was the parenting time arrangement?
Well, with the joint, we originally had if we were on a 5-2, and then that got to be too difficult for her, so we switched it to a 2-2-3.
And did you maintain that 2-2-3 parenting time schedule for some period of time?
Yes.
For approximately how long?
Well, pretty much about, was it been almost 4 years? So 3.5 to 4 here, just, yeah, since the divorce till a few months back.
Okay. And did she consistently exercise her parenting time during that 3.5, 4 years?
She would pick him up on those days, yes.
Okay. And at some point in time, back in 2019, you filed a motion to change physical custody. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what were the reasons that you filed that motion?
Well, a few things were going on in the home over there. Physicality of what was going on. She was physically fighting with the girls, with the young girls. That's one thing that would really concern me. And there was, I mean, literally where there was bruises, other living conditions were not proper there.
What do you mean by other living conditions were not proper?
Well, like they would go there, they would go for 2 days, come back, they would tell me if they had anything at all, a bag of chips or whatever they could scrounge around, eat for food, that mom didn't make dinner. Well, the food was the big issue. There's just no time. They basically go there, sit in a room, and a lot of times they were FaceTiming me. I'd help them with homework and things like that. But
Is that while they were at their mother's?
Yes, while they were at their mother's.
Okay. Now you mentioned there were some physical altercations. Was that with all three girls or just one or?
Mostly the one, Sarah, who's 13 now. And she had a little bit of an incident with Tori, the youngest, but Sarah was the one that she really went after one time.
Had that been reported to Department of Health and Human Services?
It was in one of the reports, yes.
But do you know how many reports were made to DHHS?
I believe four of them in total.
And did you make any of those reports?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. And did you ever speak with any of the caseworkers while they were investigating these incidents?
Yes, they interviewed me as well.
Okay. Did you fully cooperate in those interviews?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And it's true that nothing ever really came from that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, back to the reasons you filed the motion. At the time you filed the motion, did you have concerns about mom's live-in boyfriend?
I did. So it's kind of been going on for a little while. Alicia had come home several times, a little reluctant to tell me things, what's going on, but I, was able to talk to her. She opened up and shared with me some things. Felt as though she had a photo taken of her when she was bending down, tying up her shoe. Another time when the window, she had a friend over, the window was open. She heard someone outside the window. She went to investigate to see who was outside. His children were there and it said their dad was outside. And she did see footprints up by the window. So she was pretty freaked out about that. She also shared with me that I didn't even know these things. Change in her own bedroom, change her clothes in her own bedroom. Even though she closes the door, she's very uncomfortable in that house and in those situations. So, and then the other one was she was in the shower and she heard someone with the door handle out to try to open it or whatever, but she was very, very scared and sat in there for a long time. And there was a few different incidences that had come about.
Did you discuss those with Ms. Marsh?
Yes, I did. Every one of them.
How did she respond to each of those incidents?
Well, at first she was angry. She gets angry first, and then she started thinking about it. She said she's going to talk to him, find out what was going on. And each and every time, then she'd come back with, it was probably the dog. Oh, it was something else. I don't know. It was never like, no. And then she says, well, I asked him to take a picture of the girls with their school, first day of school. I said, no, she was bending down, tying her shoe up. That's a whole different time. So she had an excuse for everything, just missing pretty much everything Alicia had to say.
Did she ever discuss with you any other issues she had with this individual?
Yes, she did. She since basically the beginning of this relationship with the live-in partner she's with now. There was a one before that with some other issues, but now this particular one, she didn't trust him. 3 months after their relationship began, she had come to me, showed me a video of her boyfriend in her vehicle, getting a sex act performed on him. And so she showed me this video. I was disgusted and appalled. I said, I do not want to see this garbage and this trash. I don't understand what you're doing. She had kicked him out. 2 days later, he moved right back in. So she had also come to me and told me.
Let me stop it right there. Did she say how she received that video?
No, she didn't. She just had it on her. She was showing me the video on her phone of it. So I do not know how she retrieved it. I don't know if she got it off his phone or what, but she had it on her phone, the video. That's where I had seen it.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. And then also, believe it was last summer, early summer, she had asked me to if I knew a female that would purchase. Apparently Scott is his name. Purchased items at St. Vincent de Paul, went home, he puts them on the internet, sells them on the website Let Go. She wanted to know if I knew a female that would purchase something from him, go to the house, try to sleep with him, and then she would kick him out because she said she put up cameras so she could watch, so she could kick him out. And I said, please, again, don't involve me in this trash. I don't live like that. I'm not going to be any part of that.
Did she say, you said she put cameras up? Was this in the house where she lives with Scott Moore?
Yes, she put the cameras up in the house. She's been adding additional cameras to cover all entrances to see who's coming and going in the house during the day. So she can basically monitor him. She had also shared with me that she bought trackers to put in his vehicle and her vehicle so she could track his whereabouts, suppose trying to catch him or whatever. But yeah, those are things. And she had also shared with me about pictures and things that he takes of basically women, and they don't know. He has a pen camera, which they did admit in one of those reports was written too.
Is that like an ink pen that has a camera in it?
Yeah, an ink pen with a camera. And so he puts it, of course, in his pocket, and he's apparently takes pictures wherever you go, public place, whatever. But anyway, she is very well aware of all this, and she shared this information with me.
Okay.
So I already had concerns, getting more and more nervous about things because I've got young girls, and 3 of them coming around the ages of, they're not little children, they're developing young ladies now. And so when Alicia came home, the last incident, she was literally crying while she was telling me that's enough for me to raise a lot of concern. And I never shared that information, by the way, with the children. About the videos, about I've never shared any of that information with those kids.
Okay. Well, based upon your conversation.
Let me interrupt for a minute.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Marsh, this last incident that you said where Alicia came home crying, when was that?
I know it was right around, let's see, 24. It was in July. I think like the 21st or 22nd of July.
This past July?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Go ahead, Mr. Hotchkiss.
Thank you. Mr. Marsh, do you have an opportunity to observe these 3 girls and their mother, or have an understanding as to what kind of relationship they have with her?
Yes.
What do you believe their relationship to be?
It is very poor. There's no bond, there's no connection with the 3 girls at all. She's just not a very active parent. She doesn't really talk a lot to them, doesn't really, not involved, has no clue of their friends, their grades, didn't even ask what school I enrolled them in school. I mean, there's no bond, no closeness, no connection. They don't talk, they don't communicate, just simply not a part of their lives.
What about you and the girls? What kind of relationship do you have with them?
I would say a very well relationship. I'm there for them, emotionally, obviously, physically. I mean, food, housing, shelter, clothes. I take them to buy all their, their undergarments, all their clothes, and we talk a lot. We spend time together. Projects and things that I do around the house, I always involve them. We have sit-down dinners at the dinner table, and constantly talking and sharing. Of course, school grades, things like that. I'm constantly staying on about their grades and what they're doing. But
Do they show you?
Just a second. This is Judge LaFlamme. Yeah, I've tried. I'm doing well. I've tried to call you several times. You're supposed to be at an evidentiary hearing today. Well, let me give you the information so you can dial in. It is virtual. Hold on just a minute. And so Ms. Marsh is on the phone. She noticed she'd gotten a phone call from this number and dialed it back. She said she did not receive any notice of today's hearing. So hold on a minute. Let me, so you need to talk to your boss first. All right, well, hold on. All right, let me give you the, and you have good, a good signal where you are? Have you participated in any kind of video conference before? Oh, okay. Well, we can certainly do that. Why don't you do this? I want you to call a different number when you call back. All right, I want you to call a different number when you call back. 517-768-1610. All right, we will wait to hear from you. Okay. You're welcome. All right, she's going to go out to her car and call back on the speakerphone number, and we'll wait till she's here before we proceed further. Ms. Marsh?
Yes.
All right, this is Judge LaFlamme. So actually, I tried to call you 4 different times, from 2 phones and didn't get a response. And I understand that's because you've been working.
Yes, I am currently at work.
All right.
And I can't answer my phone while I'm at work. And I work for a doctor and I was with a patient, so I couldn't check my phone at that time.
All right. So present in the Zoom hearing are Mr. Hotchkiss, Mr. Jason Marsh, and Ms. Rebecca McCluskey, the LGAL appointed by the court. Mr. Marsh has already started testifying. I will repeat his testimony to you so you have the benefit of it.
Okay.
He identified your 5 children by name and age. He described the fact that neither Joshua nor Nicole have had any relationship with you for about 5 years, that both of them still live with him in his home. He described the history of your custody arrangement, starting out initially as on a 5-2 schedule, and then you switched to a 2-2-3 schedule. He filed his motion that brings us here today back in 2019. He described his observation that there was a lot of fighting between you and the girls when they would be with you, that the girls would report to him that they never sit down and eat meals together at your home, that you don't prepare meals, that they have to scrounge for their own food and often end up eating chips and whatever else happens to be available. He described the fact that there have been 4 separate CPS investigations from reports made by someone other than him, that he has never reported you to CPS. He talked about your boyfriend and problems that Alicia had with him, being quite uncomfortable, suspicious that he might be taking pictures of her, peeking in her window, rattling the door when she's in the shower, things that made her very uncomfortable. He described how you came to him and showed him a video of someone performing a sex act on your boyfriend, and then tried to enlist him in some fashion to try to trap your boyfriend so that you could catch him in cheating on you, basically. He described, as with Alicia, the most recent incident, that she came home crying last summer after something had happened involving your boyfriend. He described that the relationship between the 3 younger girls, who are the only ones that are the subject of the hearing today, is very poor, that they don't seem to have a bond with you. They don't seem to have any connection with you, that you're not very involved in their lives. And he was just starting to describe the bond that he has with his girls. Described to me that they talk a lot, they spend a lot of time together, they eat dinners together, they do things together. So, Mr. Marsh, you may continue. And Ms. Marsh, you will get a chance to respond to all of that when it's your turn.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Hotchkiss, you can continue.
Thank you.
Was my summary accurate?
It was very accurate, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Marsh, do the 3 girls, Alicia, Sarah, and Tori, do they show you affection?
Yes, they do.
And how do they do that?
Hug me, tell me thank you. They're very appreciative. And then, of course, doing things in return, like favors, doing things that, they know that they're supposed to be doing their chores and doing things, and they just show just by doing that. And of course, like I said, hugging and other things like that in that nature.
You show them affection as well?
Absolutely.
How would you describe, how would you best describe your bond with them?
Very healthy, very strong. Like I said, we spend a lot of time together. It's been me and the kids. We do a lot of stuff together. I'm working on, like I said, whether it's projects, vacations, traveling, just any board games. We like to play cards, just a lot of interaction. And then of course, time that, I try to find out what's going on with their lives, who their friends are, what they're doing, how they're doing in school. I mean, all the normal stuff that we have these conversations almost daily.
Mr. Hotchkiss, let me interrupt. Normally, I would have asked this at the beginning of the hearing, but because Ms. Marsh just joined us. So, Ms. Marsh, the purpose of the hearing today, as you, I'm sure, already know, is Mr. Marsh is seeking a change to the custody order, giving him primary physical custody. Before we go any further, I want to make sure, are you opposed to that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you. You may continue, Mr. Hotchkiss.
Thank
I
you.
didn't want to get to the end of Mr. Marsh's testimony only to find out that Ms. Marsh has resolved that this is the way it's going to be going forward. So since that's not the case, obviously we will continue.
Great. Thank you, Your Honor. Are the children involved in extracurricular activities, Jason?
Yes, they are.
What are they involved in?
They play different sports: volleyball, basketball. That's in soccer. Those are the main three sports that they're involved in.
Are you involved in those activities with them as well?
Yes, I am.
What is your involvement?
Well, of course, when so as I said, we practice, practice basketball and volleyball, and we play, we do things here. That's in our of course, recreation and fun time. I also go to as many and all as I can, their games, whether home or away. But I try to go to every single one. I may have missed one or two, but for the most part, I'm always there, and I look forward to going and seeing them and encouraging them, in their playtime.
Does Miss Marsh participate in those extracurricular activities with the girls?
Well, we describe them from basically the last few years, 4 years. She would go mostly when it was like, say, her time, her weekend. When she was basically had to take the kids, she would go. Tori, I know she had taken her to her basketball on her weekends. When they're not her weekends, she didn't go. And
would you attend when it wasn't your weekend?
Pardon me?
Would you attend when it wasn't your weekend?
Oh, yes. Yes, I attended every game every weekend. And she missed, here recently, Sarah played volleyball. She never came to any of those games. And also Alicia had a basketball season already this year, and she had missed those as well. Unless, again, like I said, if it was a day or time to pick them up. But to be there, take the time and go and be there for the games, for the most part, no, she did not participate.
Are you involved at all in the girls' academic affairs?
Oh, absolutely.
How so?
Well, like I said, I'm all over the grades. I love the modern technology power school. I can see homework assignments that are missing, assignments that are due. Of course, keep track of their grades as well. And they know this. So I'm constantly, did you get this report done? Did you get that done? Is this done? So I am trying to stay on their grades and their academics, where they're at in school. And I mean, they are actually doing very well in school right now.
What about Ms. Marsh? Is she involved in that?
Not as much, no. Of course, I'm not at her home when they're there, but I know most of the time they were FaceTiming me and calling me. I would help them with their homework and while they were at her house. So I would do it, through the FaceTiming.
I see. So that was even while they were in her custody, you would help them.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you involved in any religious faith?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are Catholic. We both promise to bring them up in the Catholic Church. They do attend the Catholic schools at this time. I also would take them to church every single week. I might have missed one or two here and there, but for the most part, we attend Mass every week. And then in the beginning, after the divorce, I would drive to mom's house to pick the girls up on her weekends, take them to church, and then return them to her house. And then she had stopped that. She had, whatever, we got angry at us, whatever was a punishment, whatever, but she stopped that. So I could no longer go pick the girls up on her weekends and take them to church.
You still take them to church on your weekends then?
Absolutely, every week.
And how long has it been since she's allowed you to take them to church on her weekends?
I believe that stopped, I want to say maybe a year and a half. Time's a little different, so maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I mean, a while ago, she stopped it.
When your children are in your care, do you have a need to discipline them from time to time?
Oh, absolutely.
And what are your techniques, discipline techniques?
Groundings. Of course, this day and age, the phones, iPads, all electronics are removed. I remove their electronics and other items, whatever it is that they're attached to. I make them, matter of fact, I will make them sometimes just sit in the room for a couple hours just to think about what they have done and what they need to do. And so basically that's how I handle those situations with groundings, taking things away so they can kind of think about what they've done and what they need to be doing. Do
you get into physical altercations with them?
No, not at all. It's not my approach or parenting style.
And do you have an understanding as to how Ms. Marsh approaches discipline in her home?
Yes.
And what is your understanding?
A lot of yelling. There's a lot of yelling. The other discipline I know I've even witnessed. So Alicia, at one time when she went to slap Alicia in the face, and Alicia turned, a big handprint was on her neck and her cheek. It was like you see the fingerprints. Of course, our older daughter Nicole, she has hit her. One time I even stopped her so that she wouldn't hear it. She was already, a teenager at that time. But what I have witnessed, also clawing, she would take them in the face, put her hand in their face, kind of claw them, and she yell at them just kind of like that. And those are some things that I've witnessed. And I don't believe in that. I don't discipline that way, and I don't think it's right.
You have extended family members that the children are involved with on your side?
Yes.
Yeah, who are they?
Well, of course, my mother, their grandmother, their cousins. I have several brothers and sisters, and so they have children. So they have cousins that they interact with, and of course, I said my mother, and then their older two siblings as well.
Okay. All right. Where are you employed, Jason?
Jason's New News Appliance.
And how you're self-employed then?
Oh, yes, sir.
And how long have you been self-employed?
That would be 26 years.
Okay.
Give me the name of the business again.
Jason's New and Used Appliance.
Oh, okay. Is that the one that's across from the old Holdes?
Well, I used to be there. Yeah, I moved up on East Michigan, the old Kentucky Fried Chicken building across from Loomis Park. The blue building with white tower.
Oh, okay.
Mars Avenue restaurant. Yeah, right up in that area.
And so you're currently self-employed. How's business?
Well, it's been relatively busy, and I'm trying to keep up because I'm the only employee there at this time, and I have been getting help from my children time to time, Josh, Nicole mostly, and then even Alicia's been coming and working. And I give the girls little chores too around there. They get dusting or vacuuming, the other chores. They can earn a little bit of money, learn to work and earn and save and how to spend their money.
Do you earn enough off from that business to financially provide for your children?
Yes.
Do you receive any type of financial support from Ms. Marsh?
No, I do not.
And what do you purchase clothing and things of that nature for your children?
All of it, clothing, whatever they need. Just like I go out everything every year. The school, I pay for the school. I've got 2 at Lumen and 1 over at Queens. So there's some costs involved there, but yes, I do provide for basically
pay for all that.
All their needs. Yes, I pay for all of it.
Okay. Do any of your children have any special needs?
No.
Who provides health insurance for your children?
Charmaine had that through the state.
Charmaine provides it through the state?
Yeah, she'd already, she's been on, what is it? I'm always get the mix ups of Medicare, Medicaid, the one through the state. That's who's covered.
Okay, so you don't have private health insurance for the children then?
No.
Okay. Who arranges for the children to see the doctors and dentists and other professional service providers?
I mainly do all that. I've been making all their physical appointments, their doctor's appointments. Yeah, basically every dentist appointments. I had to find a dentist. Of course, we can't take the insurance, so I make the appointments, and I've been taking them.
How long has that been occurring that you've made and taken them to their appointments?
Mostly in the last couple of years. I've been doing all of it.
Okay. Now, you said the children have primarily resided with you exclusively. How long has that been in place?
The girls recently?
Yeah.
The girls since July.
Okay. Where do you reside?
11883 Dublin Drive in Jerome.
Okay. And is that a suitable residence to raise the girls?
Yes, it is.
Do they have their own rooms, or how's that set up?
So it's there's 5 bedrooms, 2 baths. So Alicia has her own room. Sarah and Tori do currently share a room. And then, of course, Josh and Nicole have their own rooms.
And does anyone else live there with you?
No.
Just you and your children?
Myself and the children, correct.
And are you involved with anyone in a romantic way?
Yes, I am.
And what is that person's first name?
Christy.
And how long have you been involved with Christy?
2 years.
And you and Christy have long-term plans?
Yes, we do.
And what are those plans?
We plan to be married and combine our homes. And
it's your testimony today, though, that she does not live with you.
that is correct.
Yeah. Are you involved in excess use of alcohol or drugs or anything of that nature?
No, sir, not at all.
To the best of your information, is Ms. Marsh involved in any excessive use of alcohol or drugs?
That I've seen, no. She smokes cigarettes, but as for seeing anything else, I have not seen her do anything.
Do you have a criminal record?
No, I do not.
You know if Ms. Marsh has a criminal record?
As far as I know, well, she had something when she was younger, a teenager, but other than that, nothing else.
Okay. And do you have any mental or physical health problems that would keep you from properly parenting your children?
No, I do not.
You said your children are doing well in school,
Yes, sir.
and how is their attendance?
I think one of them missed a couple days for a cold here this year already. Other than that, they're there every single day.
Okay. And have they been primarily with you for the 2021 school year?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How are their grades right now?
Right now, they're really good. A's. Alicia's mostly A's, B's, and then Sarah and Tori mostly B, C, right in the areas where they're at right now.
Have you discussed the children's preference as to who the primary physical custodian should be?
Well, they do ask, because I mean, what they ask questions, and I try to answer them without too much information, but I do tell them that because they tell me all the time they want to live with me, they don't want to go back over there and things like that in that nature. So I tell them that I'm working, I'm trying, but we'll see what happens.
So it's your testimony that you believe their preference is that they reside with you.
Oh, absolutely.
You think they should have a relationship with their mother?
I think they should have a relationship, yes.
And you've read the GAL's report that seemed to suggest that you didn't foster that type of relationship. Did you read that?
Yeah, I did read that.
And what did you think about that?
Well, that's not true. I try to facilitate every single thing I can. I have done it for years, starting with Joshua and Nicole. I've always encouraged the relationships. I actually, I'm not happy that she does have a strained relationship with the kids. Charmaine and I have had talks about this. I have tried to help her, and many times in many ways on how to improve her relationship with the girls. There's even recently the last visit she had, the girls refused. They didn't want to go outside to visit with her. I said, your mother's here. You go outside and you make a visit. You understand, and you be respectful. That's what I tell them, and that's what I believe in, and that's what they're to do. Now, from then on, from between her and the children, I can't. That's a relationship between them, and I don't know how else to facilitate that. But I've told her, of course, she knows she has full access to all 5 children. I said, they're right there in the house. You can walk them, call them, talk to them, see them. So I do encourage relationships, and I do encourage them to be respectful when they talk to her or treat her. But anything outside of that, I have no control over.
In the GAL's report, there's an indication in there that you don't keep Ms. Marsh informed as to the children's schedule and things of that nature. How do you respond to that assertion?
Totally not true. I constantly send her when there is something. So when there's a dentist appointment, physicals, I sent her text messages. I put it all in text messages, and I will take pictures, screenshots of the report cards. She said she wasn't getting through the one school, so I would take pictures and send screenshots. The exams, everything. I send her the day and time of the reports, and then when it comes, she never shows up. She's not there. So
she does have joint legal custody, correct?
Correct.
So she could be obtaining all this information on her own without your assistance?
That's correct. So as I said, there's the emails, which the way they do everything now with appointments. We still have a joint email plus her own email, personal email. So I have given the schools that email, I've given the doctors, the dentist, everybody has her phone number, her emails. She has access to all that information. Same stuff I did the kids' school schedules, their sports schedules, everything. And I send copies of everything. 2 different times, I know the kids were with me. Alicia missed a step going downstairs. She actually broke a bone in her foot. I took her to the emergency. I called her on the way, said, I'm going to the hospital. Let me know what you find out, she says. Okay. And then Sarah had been playing on a playground at school, slipped, cut her eyebrow, above her eye open. Again, I called her immediately, told her, same thing. Let me know what you find out. And then a day or 2 later, when it's her time, then she'd ask the kids about. But I inform her right away, all the time. I have pictures I take with my phone, text messages. She has all that. The emails, the phone calls, they have all that. She has all that information, and I make sure she does.
I think there's an assertion maybe in the report that would suggest that Ms. Marsh is not able to attend some of these things because of her work schedule, whether it's extracurricular or medical, dental, whatever. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, so some of the games and times are at her work, as far as I know, still, she ends her day at 5 o'clock. She works maybe a mile or so from the school. She drives right by to go home. She does not stop into the games. Majority of the games they're after 5, where she is able to go. Same with appointments and stuff. I know, unless things have changed, but she did have days where she would either have 4 hours or half a day or something off. Things could be arranged around her schedule. Then she's not working to do these things. She does not. We do not see her or hear from her. Nothing. But they are after work hours games.
Do you think your children need counseling?
I think that to improve the relationship with mom, somebody probably needs to somehow facilitate that between them. That's nothing that again, like I said, when I'm not there, I can't tell her how to speak to the kids to do that. For them to have counseling, I don't think counseling would hurt, but it has to be both parties. She has to be willing to participate in that and do that.
Do you believe that it's in the girl's best interest if you have primary physical custody of them?
Yes, I do.
And what do you think an appropriate parenting time schedule would be for mom?
Well, like I said, I don't want to take time away from their mother. I don't want them to not have a relationship with their mother. I never wanted that. But for the girl's best interest and the girl's sake, for what lack of they get in the relationship from her, I'm sorry, I got off track a little bit.
You were going to tell us what parenting schedule you think is appropriate.
Well, apparently she seems to be comfortable with seeing him almost on a monthly basis. I don't know how that is or what it is, but I would like to have full custody, maybe her with like a weekend or even supervised, but I'm concerned about the live-in partner that she has. So I'm not quite sure how that would work out on the amount of time how that would work. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. Any other reasons that you want to offer the court as to why you believe that the court should change physical custody to you?
Well, in my home, I've been able to provide those girls stability, normalcy, consistency. As I said, they know they have schedules, shower, homework, chores. We have dinners, we do things together. There's the bond with their siblings, Joshua and Nicole, which is also important that they have a relationship with them as well. So with the structure and the stability that I can provide for those girls, and not even just even emotionally. I know, like I said, there's times when they have that they just don't feel as though their mom loves them or cares about them because there's no contact. They don't see or hear anything from her. And this stems right from the oldest to the youngest.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions for you, Jason, but Ms. Marsh or the court may. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just noticed that Ms. McCluskey dropped off. I wouldn't be surprised she has another hearing. Did Rebecca send you a note? Let me see if she sent me one.
He has a hearing with Judge McBain, I believe, at 10:30. It's a trial.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Marsh, this is not your time to testify, but you do have the opportunity to ask Mr. Marsh questions, either about what he's already testified to or anything else that you'd like to ask him about. Are there any questions that you would like to ask him?
Yes. When we were married, did I take all the children to all of their doctor's appointments, dentist appointments? Did I schedule all of those appointments? And did I go to all of their games and participate in the children's lives as far as football, basketball, all sporting events? And as far as taking them out of town, staying in hotels for travel teams, did I participate in all of the children's lives?
You did not participate in them consistently. I was there. I did a lot of work. Of course, I did work during the day, and we were self-employed. So many days and times, Sharmeen did not go to work. She would stay home because she was a stay-at-home mom at that time. So yes, there were times more of making appointments and taking them to the appointments than I did at that time, because she was not working. She was at home. She was a stay-at-home mom, which is what she wanted to do. And as for games, she did go to, or sorry, you did go to some games, not a lot of the game, not a majority. I went to the majority of the out-of-town tournaments, games, up in the mornings driving them. There was a lot of it that I did. A lot of it was done because I did it. I took them. I I did a lot of it. So yes, you did go to stuff, you did participate in stuff, but not at the level and not as often as you're portraying it to be.
Okay, well, I have pictures that will state that that is not true. We went to sporting events as a family.
Hold on. I know this is hard for non-lawyers to realize, but you will get a chance to testify. But before I can do that, I have to put you under oath.
Okay.
Right now is not your time to testify. You can address all of these things when you testify, but right now it's not your turn to testify. It's just your turn to ask Mr. Marsh questions. So you can't argue with him about his responses. You can ask the question,
Okay.
and then when it's your turn to testify, if you disagree with the answer, you can give your version. Okay?
Okay. During discipline, did I ask the children several times to do things and it took several hours or several days for them to do as they were asked to do as far as house chores, like mowing the grass, taking out the garbage?
All right, Ms. Marsh, I know what the objection's going to be. I'm assuming this question relates to when the two of you were still together before you were divorced?
Yes. Yes.
That's wonderful historical information, but it's not relevant to what's in front of me. What's relevant is what has been the circumstances leading up to the filing of Mr. Marsh's motion in 2019 and from that point forward. So what happened during your marriage is, as far as the case is concerned, ancient history.
Okay. How many times did you tell me or send me the girls' schedule as far as Sarah and Alicia and Tori? Did you send me their schedule that Sarah was in volleyball and that Alicia was in basketball? Did you make me aware of that?
I did not, because those schedules are on the Lumen Christi and Queens websites. You have the same access to it as I do. That is your choice if you choose to be a participating parent and look at those and see when the schedules are, or also have conversations with the children. Are you playing any sports along those lines? But I don't really believe that's my responsibility to look at the emails, ask you if you look at the emails, see what you want to do. That is your responsibility as the mother and parent. All that information is there in all the emails, text messages and emails. That is all there.
So you're saying that there's emails of Sarah playing volleyball and her schedule, and you're saying that there is a schedule as far as an email that Alicia tried out for basketball, made the team, and there's a schedule.
Made the team in basketball. No, that's being that's participating with your children, knowing, again, that's where I have conversation. I know when basketball season, are you going out for basketball? When does basketball season start? Those are the things I did. And then I went to the website. Nobody called me and told me. I went to the website, I look at the schedules, and then I print it, I take a copy, then I have the schedules, and then I make my time to go to the games. That's part of the participation in the children's lives and being a part of their life, knowing what they're interested in, knowing what they're involved in or want to be involved in.
Have you let the girls read our text messages as far as our arguments or our conversations and involve the children more than what should be as far as our divorce and our personal matters?
No, I don't share all those conversations in emails or text messages, excuse me, with the girls. A lot of what they, if they do know, are things they either pick up or know or hear actually through you. And they would ask me, they would question me and ask me questions, and I'm trying to tell them as basic as I can without giving them all the information in detail.
Okay, so has Alicia read our personal emails? I'm sorry, text messages?
None that I don't know. I don't know if she's read them, unless she picked my phone up again on my phone, but no.
Okay, because I believe there's a video that states otherwise. But, so you're saying that you haven't involved the children in adult matters where they shouldn't be involved?
No.
Do you believe that I am a good mother and protect my children and involved in their life as much as I possibly can and love my children?
No, I don't believe you're involved as much as you can at all. It's been 3 months since you've seen or talked to Sarah. It's been 4 or 5 years since you've talked to Josh or Nicole. You've had many opportunities as recent as a month or so ago, the last time you were there with Tori to pick her up for her birthday. I told you all 5 kids are right there in the house. You could walk in, say hi, talk to them, whatever. You decided to drive away. You made no attempt. I've told you before, you can take them for ice cream or go down to the park. You do lots of things. I've given you ideas of things to help you, which I believe that is the facilitating in the relationship. And you follow through with none of it. You drive away, or we don't see or hear from you for weeks and now a month. I mean, that's a part of being a participating parent. So no, I would say no. And again, back to the game where you talk to the kids, ask them questions. Oh, what are you involved in? What do you like? That you should know. These are things, if you have an active relationship, you should know. And as for the rest of it, the information, it's on the websites. So
did I ask the girls and see if I could take them for ice cream? And are you aware of their answer?
I'm not aware of your conversations with the girls. I wasn't present during those conversations.
Okay. They said they couldn't leave, that you wouldn't let them leave, but I had to visit in the front yard
Connor, this is not a question.
of your house.
That's not a question. You need to remember to raise that when it's your turn to testify.
Okay. I'm done with questioning, Your Honor.
I redirect Mr. Hotchkiss.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Marsh, did you ever tell your daughters that they couldn't leave to go somewhere with their mother?
No, sir, I've never told them that.
Okay. Did you have any more testimony to present, Mr. Hotchkiss?
No, Your Honor, that would conclude my presentation.
Okay. Now, Ms. Marsh, it's your turn to testify. I'm going to put you under oath, and then I will give you a chance to address whatever it is that you think I need to address to make a decision here. Raise your right hand, please. You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name.
Charmaine Louise Marsh.
So, Ms. Marsh, it's your turn to testify. Go ahead.
Okay. I've been involved with my children's lives ever since they were born. Jason and I was self-employed. I went to work every single day with him. We raised all 5 of our kids at the business. I would nurse the children. I would take them to their doctor's appointments. Yes, I would leave work to go take them to their doctor's appointments while Jason stayed at work. Then I would come back after their doctor's appointments or dentist appointments. We went together as a family to all of their sporting events. We went out of town to all of their sporting events. Granted that if I just gave birth or had a newborn, one of the kids were sick to where I had to stay home. Jason would take one of the children out of town.
Ms. Marsh, I want to interrupt you here.
Okay.
If I were doing the divorce trial now and trying to decide who to award custody to, how each of you handled responsibilities during the marriage would be very relevant. But you've been divorced for several years now. What I want to hear about is not what you did during the marriage, but what have you been doing since the marriage? since the divorce?
Okay. I have helped the children with their homework several times. They have came and asked myself or Scott, who is my live-in partner, to help them with homework. We have helped them with projects. At times, I have found out to where they have called their dad, which I don't have a problem with that, to help with homework. They will also help each other. When they come and ask me, I'll ask them to try to figure it out first. And then if they still get stuck, then I will intervene and I will help them out, either myself or Scott, which we have done several times. My children have their own rooms. Alicia is in a room by herself. Sarah and Tori and Scott's daughter, Rhea, are all in one room, and his son, Scorin, is in a room all by himself. I do have security cameras set up inside and outside. I am involved with, I did go to all the children's sports. When I have received a schedule, usually the girls would bring me a schedule, and then I would go if I did not have to work those hours. Sometimes I can request for the time off for work, and my request will get denied. I had more leniency as far as my schedule when the doctors that I worked for was private practice. Now we are corporation. So I have to go through the motions of putting in my time off. I was not made aware that Sarah was playing basketball. Oh, I'm sorry, volleyball.
Let me stop you. Ms. Marks, let me stop you for just a minute.
Okay.
Where do you work?
I work, it used to be eye services, and then the doctor was private practice, sold the business. So now it's called My Eye Doctor.
And how long have you worked there?
I've worked here for little over 3 years, about 3 years.
And what do you do?
I'm an optician.
So you give eye tests, vision acuity, that sort of thing?
We work with an acuity system, but I'm the one that helps after the patients get their exam. The patients come out to me, and then I help them pick out a frame. I order their lenses, or I order contacts.
Do you have a salary? Are you paid hourly? How are you compensated?
I get paid hourly.
Do you work 40 hours a week?
I do not work 40 hours a week.
Is there an average number?
Our schedule fluctuates.
What's it work out to on average?
It could be like 38 hours a week. It could be 35 hours a week.
Okay.
It just really depends on our schedule.
Do you ever work overtime?
Yes.
How often?
It fluctuates all the time. We just did inventory, and I believe that I worked over 40 hours during inventory. That's once a month.
Okay. And what do you make per hour?
I make $16.83 an hour.
And do you get any benefits?
Benefits as far as medical benefits? No.
Medical, dental, optical, anything like that?
Well, being an employee, I get free eye exams, and I get discounts on glasses or contacts if I decide to purchase them. But as far as paying for any kind of benefits, no.
And your hours are typically during the daytime, Monday through Friday?
Yes, Monday through Friday, 7:45. It fluctuates anywhere between 7:45 and 8:15 to 5 o'clock. If I'm with a patient and can't leave at 5, then sometimes I'm here until 5:30. Friday, I got out at 5:30. So it just really depends.
All right, thank you. You may continue.
So I try to participate in my children's lives as much as I possibly can, and always have. I've made dinners every night. I've got up and made them breakfast. I will make them pancakes. They will come out, ew, I don't want to eat that. I'm not eating that. I'll starve, is some of their comments. I had pancakes at Dad's house yesterday. I don't want to eat cereal. I don't want to eat this. Ew, gross. I will make them dinners. They say that they don't want to eat it, that they'll just eat chips or snack, and then go back over to Jason's house and say that I didn't make them anything to eat, or that they're starving when dinner was placed on the table, breakfast was placed on the table. Food was going in the garbage. So I told them that I wasn't making breakfast anymore, that they could have cereal if they weren't going to eat breakfast, that food was being wasted. It was going in the garbage. And they said, well, that's your problem, not mine. I'll eat when Dad gets here. So I have made them dinners. I have made them breakfast. We have all sat down together and ate. Alicia or the girls will come out, they will make a plate, and then they'll get up from the table. If they do put food on their plate, they will try to take it to their room. And I will tell them that we are sitting down at the table and we are all going to eat together. And then they will, I don't want to eat with you guys, and I just want to go to my room. I have tried to ask the children to do chores. It ends up into a fight or an argument. Do it when they please. I have 10 minutes. 5-10 minutes goes by. Will you please take out the garbage? Will you please, do the dishes? Will you please clear off the table? After several attempts and asking them nicely to do their chores, it ends up into a fight because then I have to force them to do it. I have not smacked the children. I have not spanked the children. They get grounded from their electronics. I did grab a hold of Tori's arm at one time. I had asked her to go pick up wrapping paper. It was right around Christmas time, and she wanted to argue with me. No, I'm not going to do it. They can do it. I'm doing something right now. She was making ramen noodles. And I said, Tori, it'll only take a couple minutes. You can finish making your ramen noodles when you go in and help pick up the wrapping paper. And she wanted to argue with me. No, I'm not doing it. I'll do it when I'm done. So I grabbed a hold of her arm and went to guide her into do as I told her to do. And she started swinging her arm back and forth, and she had a knit sweater on. My fingernail must have caught her, and I wasn't aware of it. And then she said that I scratched her, which I did not purposely scratch my child. I do not grab them by the face. Jason, I have called Jason several times to try to communicate with him about the girls being disrespectful. It will end up into, I hate you, I want to go back to Dad, when I try to force them to do as I tell them to do. I've tried to do my best as far as my children. I don't think that I'm a bad mom. I have talked to Jason several times about the kids, and he has told me, and I believe I even have it in text message, that when they're acting up, he told me to smack them in the face. He told me to smack them. He told me that he smacks them. He's like, I'll just kind of give them just a little bit of smack in the face. He goes, smack them in the face, when they're being disrespectful. No, I have not smacked my children. They don't get spanked. They get grounded. At times, have I grabbed a hold of their arm? Yes, I have. But I don't think that that's abuse. That's me trying to reinforce what I'm telling my children to do instead of having disrespectful children. Last year, I wasn't told that the girls had conferences. Jason did not make me aware of conferences. I didn't even get a conference slip. The only time that I get report cards is when I text him and ask for them. I don't get any kind of pictures of school. I have asked several times for school pictures. I've asked for sports pictures. I don't get any kind of communication from Jason at all. I called up to the school and had asked and see if conferences had taken place last year, and I was told that Mr. Marsh participated in conferences, and I wasn't aware of conferences to even attend, which I have never missed not one of my children's conferences, and that upset me that I actually missed it. Since our divorce, and me having to go back out into the workforce and find a job. I was a stay-at-home mom, basically. Jason and I were self-employed. Could I stay home? Yes. But I went to work. So I had to go back out into the workforce. Did I have a college education or degree? No, I didn't. So it was hard for me to find employment. I guess I don't know what else to say. I want my kids. I want my visitation with my kids. My kids are not in danger. I am not a danger to my children. I would protect my children with my life.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'm sure Mr. Hotchkiss is going to have questions for you.
Okay.
How would you describe your relationship with your children?
I would say not as close as I would like to be. I try to talk to them, ask them about what's going on, like in school or their personal lives. I'll try to give them hugs and kisses, which I have several times with Josh and Nicole. Nicole, just being teenagers, Josh just being teenagers or kids will go, ew, go away, get away from me, ew. So I've tried several times to give them love and affection. I'll even force it on them sometimes. Come here, I love you. Let me give you a hug. Let me give you a kiss. I'm like, oh, it'll just take a second. Your mom's not gross. I try to make a joke out of it.
So your two older children have the ability to come see you whenever they want, do they?
Yes. Yes.
Do they come see you?
No, they don't.
Why?
I have text messaged them, asking them and see if they want to go out to dinner, if they want to go out to coffee. I have 2 years of text messages with no responses. I have asked to come over and see them.
Why do you think that is, that they don't want a relationship with you?
Honestly, Your Honor, I don't know. I've tried. I've asked them, like I said, to go out to coffee, dinner. I've told them that we need to work on our relationship. I know that they're really mad at me because I'm the one that filed for divorce, and I'm the one that split apart the family. That they didn't want to talk to me after that. They didn't want to have anything to do with me because they feel as though that I destroyed our family. That's what I was told by them, is they didn't want to have anything to do with me because I destroyed our family. I filed for the divorce.
Okay, Mr. Hotchkiss, you have questions?
Kind of frankly, I don't think I have any questions that would shed any more light on the situation that's already been shed. So I would say no, thank you.
All right. We've completed the proofs. Let me ask you, Ms. Marsh, you did get the report from the lawyer guardian ad litem?
Yes, I received that in an email.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure you had that. I guess we're ready for arguments. Mr. Hotchkiss?
Leonard, thank you. As the court knows, the very first step in attempting to change physical custody of children is to ascertain whether or not there's an established custodial environment, as that sets the burden of proof. Frankly, in this case, I think the court could find that there's an established custodial environment with these 3 younger children with my client. Based on my client's testimony, he has essentially been their primary caregiver, taking them to and from athletic events, even when they're in mom's custody, taking them to and from church, even when in mom's custody, having them call him to do homework, even when in mom's custody. It would appear to me that they clearly looked at dad as the primary caregiver and the provider of the basic necessities of life. If the court finds an established custodial environment with my client, then the burden of proof is obviously preponderance. But I would argue that the burden of proof of clear and convincing evidence has also been met. I won't go through each and every factor, but I think it is extremely clear that dad has a much closer bond with these children than does mom. By mom's own admission, she has trouble with these 3 children in her relationship, and the 2 older children of the parties don't have any contact with her, nor have they really since they've been at the age of majority. And if the court looks at their ages, they were pretty much together as a family up until the time of the divorce, with these 2 older children just gaining the age of majority shortly after. So there's a reason why mom is struggling with a relationship with the younger 3, and it's probably similar to the reason that she doesn't have a relationship with the older 2. The court heard some testimony about what happens in mom's home, and I think even the reference by the GAL in her report would indicate that the girls don't seem to have a lot of respect for mom. There are physical altercations between them. She can't seem to develop a relationship with them where she can exercise some influence over them that would curb their behaviors. Everything turns into a yelling and screaming match, verbal arguments according to the report, and then also several reports to DHS for physical altercations. Again, my client testified he didn't make any of those reports. So presumably those children had to make those reports to a mandatory reporter. Mom talks about dad not cooperating with her, facilitating a relationship. Clearly, mom knows where these children go to school. Clearly, she has rights to all of the information that dad has rights to. She can access their calendars, their extracurricular activities, or get the information directly from them, quite frankly, given their ages. But she counts on dad to do that. And I'm not sure really why she would do it, but she kind of faults dad for not being aware of a conference. Dad had to take the initiative to find out when the school conference is. In cases like this, both parents have to, especially when you have joint legal and up until recently, joint physical custody of the children. Dad has also testified that, on her weekends, she'd take the children or the girls to their extracurricular activities, but on his weekends, she wouldn't attend. I think that from the testimony, it's extremely clear that dad is much more involved in these children's lives and that they have a much closer bond with him than they do with mom. The issues with the significant other, I can understand why dad's concerned. And he testified, look, I've got 3 young girls here who are entering into the years of puberty, and we've got these allegations about cameras and pen cameras, and then there's the videotape that mom showed dad with respect to this live-in boyfriend. Mom saying that she was going to take action and then making excuses for the behavior of the boyfriend. Mom trying to enlist dad's help in trapping the boyfriend in some extracurricular affair or something like that. That's not a stable environment, Your Honor. You heard dad talk about that's trash. That's not his house. That's not what these kids grew up with, and that's not what he wants them to have for the future. I would argue to the court that dad has met his burden by the standard of clear and convincing evidence, and would ask that the court change physical custody to dad, and then set a parenting time schedule as the court deems to be in the best interest of these girls. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Marsh, now it's your turn to tell me what you think I should do based on the evidence.
I believe that the parenting time should not be changed at all. I believe that Jason and I should still have joint legal custody and on the 2-2-3 schedule as it has been. There has been no sexual allegations or proof of what Jason is stating about my live-in partner, Scott Moore. Jason had made me aware of some things or brought to my attention of some things that he was possibly concerned about. I said that I would investigate them, and if there is anything of that nature going on, then I will proceed as far as taking action and removing him from my home if this is indeed what was going on. The pen camera was used as far as dictation for his job.
Your Honor, this is beyond
also,
evidence.
Also,
your objection is sustained.
Thank
The
you.
reason, there's no testimony, ma'am, about why he had a pen camera, so we're at the argument stage, so all you can do is argue based upon the evidence that's been introduced.
okay. My children, they are not in any kind of danger. Yes, they are coming into puberty, knowing that no one is showing interest in children. I believe that I do have a stable environment for my children. All of their concerns and needs are met. They are taking to sporting events. I believe that the custody should not be changed as far as what has been ordered in our divorce.
All right, thank you. So when the court is called upon to revisit the issue of custody, the starting point is to determine whether or not there is an established custodial environment with either or with both parents. An established custodial environment exists when over an appreciable period of time, the child naturally looks to the custodian in that environment. Basically, it's who does the child come to for needs? Who does the child come to with concerns? Who does the child look to as the primary caregiver in that environment? Normally, with an equal custody arrangement, what I find is that when the child, whichever parent the child is with on the current parenting time schedule, is the parent who the child looks to. So when they're with mom, they look to mom. When they're with dad, they look to dad for whatever needs they might have. In considering the established custodial environment, the court looks at the age of the child, the physical environment, and that's basically the custody arrangement, and finally, the inclination of the custodian and the child as to the permanency of the relationship. So in this case, certainly prior to this past summer, there wasn't much question that physically the children were with each parent an equal amount of time. But I definitely heard testimony to suggest to me that when the children are with dad, they never look to mom. when the children are with mom, they still look to dad. They text him, they ask him for help with their homework. They consistently look to their father for parental guidance. They don't consistently look to their mother for parental guidance. In fact, it sounds like the relationship in that home between mother and children is not a healthy one. It certainly would appear to the court that there is clearly an established custodial environment with Mr. Marsh. There's frankly no question suggested that does not exist. But the custodial environment with mom is, despite up until the past July, the fact that they were with her half the time, they're still looking to dad when they're with mom, when they have needs. Now, I'm sure they look to mom too for some needs when they were with her, but it's still very telling to the court that particularly with their homework, that's the one they called when they needed help with their homework, even when they're with mom. There's a significant question in my mind as to the strength of the custodial environment with mom versus that with dad. If it's clear that there's an established custodial environment with one parent rather than the other, the burden of proof is different that the court looks at in terms of weighing the best interest factors. I think this evidence shows the court that there clearly is an established custodial environment with dad and a very limited amount of although it's hard to measure, the relationship that mom has when the children are in her care. So I'm going to address both evidentiary standards as I go through my ruling, both preponderance and clear and convincing as I look at each factor. So the first factor is the love, affection, and other emotional ties existing between the parties involved and the child. The emotional bond that exists between the parent and the child. Here, the testimony is abundantly clear and convincing that these children all have a very, very strong and healthy bond with their father. The bond with their mother is weak. There are many, many reasons for that. I don't doubt for a second mom's sincerity that she truly desires to have a strong bond with her children, but she doesn't seem to know how to develop that bond. There's so much tension in mom's home that when the children are there, they don't feel love and affection, they feel tension. By mom's own testimony, conversations frequently devolve into arguments and fights because of the difficult relationship that exists there. I think on this factor, the evidence is clear and convincing that dad's bond far outweighs the weak bond that the children have with their mother. The second factor is the capacity and disposition of the parties to give the child love, affection, and guidance, and to continue the education and raising of the child in his or her religion or creed, if any. Dad testified that when they were together, they both agreed, we are going to raise these children as Catholic. Dad has kept them in Catholic schools at his own expense. Dad has taken them to church services when they're with him, weekly mass. And up until the mom put a stop to it a year and a half ago, approximately, Dad was even taking them to church to mass when they were with mom. He would go pick them up and take them and then drop them off. And again, until mom put a stop to it. With respect to raising them in the religion or creed, I didn't hear one scintilla of evidence to suggest that mom is just instilling the religious principles in them that the parties agreed to abide by when they were together. With respect to continuing their education, again, it's Dad who's the one who's heavily involved in their education. Dad's the one that makes sure what their grades are, makes sure that he's at the teachers' conferences, is clearly heavily involved in the power schools and the information that's available from every school to keep parents informed as to how their children are doing. From mom, I'm hearing, well, Dad doesn't tell me. That information is available. All she has to do is exert minimal effort to try to get it herself instead of relying on Dad to provide it to her. So with respect to continuing the education, clearly and convincingly, that's Dad the one that's involved. And in terms of the capacity and ability to give love, affection, and guidance, justice with the first factor, Dad has that capacity. He's able to require his children to be respectful when they're in his home. Mom doesn't seem to know how to do that. Children will get away with what you let them get away with. And at mom's home, it's apparently that mom has very little control as to how her daughters behave when they're around her. Again, I don't think it's due to a lack of desire on her part, but it seems to be due to a lack of understanding as to what's required in order to have a healthy parent-child relationship. This factor also clearly and convincingly favors the father over the mother. Capacity and disposition of the parties involved to provide the children with food, clothing, medical care, and other remedial care recognized and permitted under the laws of the state, and other material needs. Dad testified about how the children are well fed at his home, that they sit down and have family meals together, that is important. That's an important part of them. And I will tell you, it is extremely important that families have at least that time together every day where they sit down at a meal together and they talk about their day, they interact with each other. You got to eat anyway. Why not make it family time as opposed to individual time? It's clear that that doesn't happen consistently, if much at all, at mom's home. Yes, mom has the capacity to provide her children with food and clothing, but it doesn't look like she takes it very much advantage over that opportunity. Dad's the one that buys their clothes. Dad's the one that takes care of their medical appointments and makes sure that they get care. The one instance that he described where the daughter broke her foot and he took her to the emergency room and called mom and let her know. Did mom come to the emergency room? No. She said, let me know how it turns out. Clearly, Dad has both the capacity and disposition to provide all of these things. Mom has the capacity, but doesn't always show the disposition to do so. And kids know that. Kids understand it when a parent comes to their aid, when the parent is there and can be depended upon. As to this factor, it clearly and convincingly favors Dad. The length of time the child has lived in a stable, satisfactory environment, and the desirability of maintaining continuity. The environment that each of these children have in dad's home is stable and satisfactory and clearly desirable of maintaining continuity. The time that the children spend in mom's home sounds like it's chaotic, that the children really want to stay in their rooms to avoid the chaos. Instead of having a healthy, stable environment, they have an extremely highly charged, unstable environment with, again, conversations frequently devolving into arguments and fights. Somewhat physical, not seriously, not abusively so, but clearly devolving into physical confrontations. That level of high emotional conflict is not healthy for any child. This factor, again, clearly and convincingly weighs in favor of the father. Permanence as a family unit of the existing or proposed custodial home or homes. So this factor focuses on the permanence of the family environment, not the acceptability of the home. So dad's family unit consists of him and his children. And even though he has a romantic interest, they live apart. His home is one that for these children has been stable. His family unit has consistently involved him and all of his children, even his adult children who choose to continue to live with him. Mom's custodial, her family unit consists of her and a boyfriend who the court has serious questions about what's going on with that relationship. Dad's testimony was unrebutted that mom came to him, showed him a video of someone performing a sex act on that boyfriend, and then tried to enlist dad's support in catching him and cheating on her. That's not a good family relationship. Cameras about the home, in and outside the home. And by dad's testimony, the cameras were placed, at least in part, to try to catch the boyfriend cheating on her. That is not a healthy relationship. That is not a strong family unit that demonstrates permanency. Again, this factor clearly and convincingly favors the father. Next factor is moral fitness. Neither party challenged the other's moral fitness in terms of engagement in crimes, anything of that nature. So that factor really doesn't apply. Mental and physical health of the parties, neither party appears to have any mental or physical health issues. So that factor doesn't differentiate between the two parents. The home, school, and community record of the child. This factor does apply. So what is the record of these children? They're doing well in school. They're in a school that dad pays for and that dad is heavily involved in, and mom is tangentially involved in. Choosing not to find out more, waiting for dad to tell her what's going on. Children are all involved in extracurricular activity at those schools. They're engaging in sports. Dad makes every effort to be at every event, regardless of on whose parenting time it occurs. And mom, on the other hand, the only time she goes to the kids' school events in recent times, not talking about when they were together as a family, I'm talking about within the last couple years, is when those events happen on her time and she has to get them there, but does not show up at the children's sporting events on other circumstances. This again is a factor that heavily favors the father. The reasonable preference of the child. In this case, all three children were interviewed by lawyer guardian ad litem. A confidential report was provided to the court that indicates that each child has a clear preference and indicates a reasonable basis for that preference. And I am taking that preference into account in making my decision. The willingness and ability of each of the parties to facilitate and encourage a close and continuing parent-child relationship between the child and the other parent. It is clear to me that both parents encourage and facilitate the relationship of the other parent with the children. Dad has done everything that he can to encourage his daughters to have a good relationship with their mother. And mom certainly does appear to be supportive of the relationship that her daughters have with the father. I don't find in any sense that either parent has done anything to try to undermine the relationship with the other. Domestic violence was not a factor. Any other factor, the court doesn't find any other factor to be present in this case. Based upon the overwhelming weight of testimony, there definitely, and one thing I didn't address earlier that I better address now, in order for there to be a change of custody, there has to be good cause or other circumstances that merit that. There has been here. There is no question. There has been a clear decline in the quality of the relationship mom has with her children. There's been most recently children are choosing not to even see their mother, and mom not availing herself of the opportunities that are available to her to try to repair her relationship with her children. I think what needs to happen, if mom wants to repair the relationship with her children, is not counseling for family counseling. It's mom needs some counseling with someone who is a good parent educator to try to figure out where she's gone wrong, what she's doing wrong, that creates such a hostile, chaotic environment within her home. And definitely these circumstances here are more than sufficient to justify the court revisiting the issue of custody. I'm going to award continued joint legal custody, but primary physical custody to Mr. Marsh. I'm going to award parenting time according to the front of the court handbook. That's the minimum the court would envision for mom to maintain some relationship with her children. That's every other weekend, a midweek visit. Does a day of the week make any difference to either of you for a midweek visit? Usually it's Wednesday or Thursday, and it's from after school until 8 p.m. or 4 to 8 p.m. when there's no school. Mr. Marsh?
Either day would be fine with me, Your Honor.
Ms. Marsh, do you have a preference?
No, I don't have a preference.
Is there on either of those nights more likely to be a sporting event?
Probably, I'd say probably Thursday. So Wednesday would probably be a better day.
All right, the midweek visit will then be on a Wednesday. Holidays, school breaks, summer vacation time will all be in accordance with the reasonable rights of parenting time in the front of the court handbook. I am going to order the front of the court to do a support review based upon the change in custody. Mr. Hotchkiss, you will prepare orders, an order reflecting the court's order today.
I will do that, Your Honor. Thank you
Okay, thank you. That concludes our hearing.
Okay,
very
thank
much.